How's everyone doing? Today I'm going to be doing a random horror Blu-ray shelf video. And it's going to be random horror Blu-ray shelf video number 2. Right now all my horror Blu-rays are on the shelves, but they're not organized. Once I finish this whole shelf by shelf video series, I will be alphabetizing them, organizing them. Finally, I still have a bunch to get off the floor. There's some in the other room. There's some on the floor here. But I'm going to be making room after this and finally getting it organized. Long overdue, but here you go. Here's a quick overview. All my horror Blu-rays right here. And then there's some starting over here as well. And then I've got a bunch of these collector sets. I think I'm going to have to move some of these because I have enough horror Blu-rays for 2 more shelves. So, like, there's stacks right there, and there's stacks in the other room. So I do want to go through here and finally get it all organized, but let's go ahead and get into it. Random horror Blu-ray shelf number 2. And let me know if you've seen any of these movies and what you think of them and which one is your favorite from this random horror Blu-ray shelf number 2. Alright, and here it is. That is random horror Blu-ray shelf number 2. Let's go ahead and start off with Killer Clowns from Outer Space. An all-time classic, one of the earliest horror movies I've ever saw. Probably my second horror movie I saw. The first one was A Nightmare on Elm Street, the original. Johnny Depp getting sucked in the bed, the blood going up to the ceiling. And this is the original Blu-ray release, which is signed by the Chiodo brothers. And I do have the new Arrow Video Blu-ray, and I have the old Arrow Video steelbook, and then another like box set with the steelbook in there, a few DVDs of it. I got the poster signed. Big fan of this one. When I was a kid, it scared me. Now it's just cheesy fun. Absolutely love it. Next up is 30 Days of Night. It's become one of my all-time favorite movies. I've watched this one a ton. I was able to get it signed up by the writer Stephen Niles. And this is another one that I have like a DVD signed of it and a poster signed of it. But again, I love this one. I love movies with a snowy setting, especially horror movies. There needs to be more, and this one has that in spades. The blood pops on the white snow. I love the look to the vampires. Ben Foster's The Stranger is awesome. The vampires in here are just super creepy. Their language, their movements, their actions. I love how it didn't cop out at the ending. But yeah, just such an amazing one. I love the concept too. 30 Days of Night in Barrow, Alaska, utilizing the vampires in there. There was a Tales from the Crypt episode that did it too, but there hasn't been many movies that have done it. I think there's another one called Frostbitten, which is a European one. Next up is Livid, which is from the same directors that did Inside. I love this movie, although the ending they did a little bit too much there with the ending, but really creepy and atmospheric. And this is actually a region-free release rate here. That was an import. Next up is Life Force. This was the original Scream Factory release with the slipcover. The slipcover goes for like ridiculous money. This is my favorite Tobe Hooper movie. Funhouse would be number 2. Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2 would be the third for me. But I love this movie. Essentially alien vampires. And Jeepers Creepers. This was the original Blu-ray release, which I was able to get signed up by a bunch of people involved with the film. Absolutely love this one. It deserves a better franchise. The third one was terrible. The second one was okay to me. Delved a little bit more into the mythology of the Creeper, but the Creeper is a horror icon in my opinion. This is one of the better American horror movies for me in the past few decades. Absolutely love the heck out of this one. It's super creepy. And I do have the Scream Factory version of it, but I haven't been able to find it, actually. I'm a little worried that I might have misplaced it or sent it out accidentally to somebody. Hopefully that's not the case. But yeah, the third one was just, should have been called Jeepers Creepers The Truck. But somebody needs to take over for the series because now with social media, there's so much more just vitriol for this franchise because of the director. For me, what the director did was unforgivable. I became a fan of this movie before I knew about that. But somebody needs to just take over so they can get right back on track and get this franchise some appreciation, essentially. Jacob's Ladder, which this one is more kind of a psychological thriller to me, but it has some horror elements. The visions, I remember watching this as a kid. It definitely freaked me out. And you also have a young Macaulay Culkin in here, Tim Robbins, Elizabeth Pena, Danny Aiello. There's a few other recognizable people in here too. Absolutely creepy film. I believe young Ving Rhames was in here too. And next up is Little Shop of Horrors, the original with Jack Nicholson, and directed by Roger Corman. Includes the black and white version and in color version. Prefer the black and white one. Next up is Lords of Salem with that lenticular slipcover. This was a Walmart exclusive with a Rob Zombie 4-song CD sampler. Absolutely love this one up until the last 20 minutes. The last 20 minutes, it fell apart for me. It was up there with just some classics, the great 70s throwback feel, like 70s witch movies. Was really digging the heck out of it. I was thinking this was a masterpiece, and those last 20 minutes just really brought it down for me. But I still enjoy it. Next up is the original Sleepaway Camp, which I was able to get this one signed up as well. There's Felissa Rose on the front. But another classic slasher right there. The ending to that one just is so memorable and just sticks out in your mind. It's definitely unforgettable. Next up is Remote Control, which is signed up by Jeff Lieberman. You were able to get this signed up from his website. And it's limited to 1,000 copies. And next up is Relic, which I believe Relic is actually out of print now too. I always enjoyed this one with Penelope Ann Miller and Tom Sizemore, a monster movie. Next up is Crush, which is a stalker movie, but I thought it was surprisingly good, had some good thrills in it. Zombie Apocalypse with Ving Rhames and Taryn Manning. A good low-budget zombie movie, one of the better low-budget zombie movies of recent years. Next up is Annabelle, which, revisiting this, I have more of an appreciation for this one. A lot of people crap on it, but I think it has some really creepy moments and really good atmosphere. I definitely prefer it over the sequel. I feel like I'm in the minority on that one. I feel like most people really enjoyed the sequel to it more than the first. But yeah, there's certain scenes in here that are just super creepy to me. Next up is the original We Are What We Are. I like the remake as well, kind of a different take on it. Good cannibal movie. Next up is the double feature of Happy Birthday to Me and When a Stranger Calls. Apparently Mill Creek released a Happy Birthday to Me standalone edition, which has the slipcover with like a VHS kind of cover, which is what they did for releases for a bunch of different movies right now for different companies. And I like that. I definitely want to pick that up. I've always wanted standalone releases for both of these. I don't really like the double feature ones, especially when there's great movies like this that deserve a proper release. Standalone release. The Children, which I got this a while ago. I remember so many people were raving about it. I think it was kind of overhyped, overrated. It reminded me a bit of Pontypool, and Pontypool was way better. And for like a killer kid movie, just, I don't know, I wanted more from it. I like the snowy setting, but maybe I'll revisit it. Maybe it's just so overhyped that, you know, sometimes it's hard to live up to that hype. I Know What You Did Last Summer, cheesy, but I remember watching a lot, so it's kind of nostalgia for me. And I always had a big crush on Sarah Michelle Gellar. It's like one of my earliest crushes after Tiffany Amber Thiessen from Saved by the Bell, a.k.a. Kelly Kapowski. And then, of course, her, Sarah Michelle Gellar is from Buffy. Idle Hands. Hard to believe, but when I was a kid, I looked like Devon Sawa, and a lot of people called me Devon or Devon Sawa because of it. I ended up trading away my DVD release for this, and I kind of wished that I kept it because it had some special features on here that the Blu-ray release doesn't have. So that was kind of disappointing, especially for a movie like this that I enjoyed and watched a lot as a kid. Great horror comedy movie with a good cast right there. Vivica Fox, Seth Green, Devon Sawa, and then Jessica Alba, who was just so freaking stunning. Oh my gosh. But a fun time in here. Offspring. Just a great, kind of almost like a time capsule movie of the late 90s right there. But I do wish that a lot of the Blu-rays don't always have the same special features that the DVDs do. And that's one that I wish did. Let the Right One In. Just a phenomenal modern vampire classic right there. This one to me transcends genres. I think the remake, Let Me In, was a good movie but unnecessary. The original one right here is just phenomenal, and I would highly recommend the heck out of it. One of the best movies I've ever seen in my life. Did Sushi, which was just ridiculous and cheesy fun. I mean, look at that. You know what you're getting yourself into. This just a great Japanese horror comedy movie. There's so many really good ones. This one was just a fun time. Did Sushi right there. Yeah, the Sushi Bites Back. I dig the heck out of it. Death Valley, which is one that I remember watching a lot as a kid, has Steve McHattie in there. I love his role. This was just a really good kind of like road trip movie with the family. You've got Catherine Hicks in here, young Peter Billingsley from A Christmas Story. You have Wilford Brimley in a small role as like the sheriff in here. But love this one, love the twist to it as well. A lot of nostalgia for me. Deep Blue Sea, which is cheesy fun. Such a good time. The cast in there, Thomas Jane, Cool J, Michael Rappaport, Stellan Skarsgård, Samuel L. Jackson. Just crazy sharks attacking people in the facility there. It's just a fun time. One of the better shark movies for me. I don't care what you say. I know it's no Jaws, but it's a fun ride. It's a great popcorn shark attack movie. Deep Rising and Puppet Masters double feature. Puppet Masters kind of like an Invasion of the Body Snatchers take. Deep Rising was like a monster movie from what I remember. Again, both ones that I feel like deserve standalone releases. I believe Deep Rising actually just got a standalone release now. Puppet Masters, I think, deserves one. It's decent. Next up is The Divide, which I think is very underrated. Film from Xavier Gens, who did Frontiers, which is one of my favorite French extreme horror movies. I did a full movie review of this a while ago on my channel, basically showing any kind of catastrophe or any kind of issue that man is often man's worst enemy. Just a bunch of people locked in a basement during kind of a possibly apocalyptic event, and they're just turning on each other, basic human nature kind of stuff. Doll Man with Tim Thomerson and Jackie Earle Haley. I dig the heck out of this one. Doll Man is just badass. Dracula 2000. I remember watching this in the theaters and digging it. It's cheesy fun. And I remember Omar Epps actually came out in an interview not too long ago saying this, Dracula 2000, and then Mod Squad were just paycheck movies for him. I still thought it was a good time. And I like the cast in here too. And next up is Evil Speak, which I was able to get signed up by Clint Howard. And then the director, Eric Weston. I always dug this one. I remember there's the scene with like the pigs, and Clint Howard is just awesome to me. Next up is John Dies at the End, which I was able to get signed up by a bunch of people involved with the film, all up on there. I thought this was a really cool sci-fi horror movie, very trippy movie, kind of like Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure on acid. The original Dawn of the Dead, signed by Tom Savini. I believe this Blu-ray is out of print, goes for ridiculous money, and very happy to. I got this way early on. I was able to get signed up. Classic right there. Always love that one. I do like the remake as well. A lot of people kind of hate on the remake. But when I was a kid, I remember watching this and thinking, oh, I'd love for a zombie apocalypse to happen, and me and my friends could hang out in the mall. Kind of missing the, societal relevance and message point of it, consumerism and stuff like that. But I dig it. Dead Alive, which this is out of print, goes for ridiculous money, this Blu-ray. I'm hoping somebody finally re-releases this. Maybe gets it a 4K transfer treatment too. Another better transfer would be good, but classic. One of the goriest films ever. One of the most rewatchable horror movies ever. From Peter Jackson before he went on to do Lord of the Rings. I'd love to see him do all the Bad Taste, Meet the Feebles, all those get proper releases too. But such a fun time. Deadly Blessing, which I love this movie, and this one deserves more love too. Really good cast in here. Sharon Stone, early role for her, and Ernest Borgnine in there. Michael Berryman has a small role in here. This is a Wes Craven movie. I love the ending. There's like a couple like twists towards the end that I think definitely influenced other horror movies. I'm not gonna say which ones, but once you watch the movie, you'll definitely see a similarity between that and another very popular one. Next up is Dead Girl, which is essentially zombie rape. These two kids find a female zombie like chained up in this abandoned building, and they play around with her essentially. I feel like the message of the movie is darker than the actual movie itself. I definitely love the ending to it. Really good film. But again, just the idea of it when you step back and think about what's happening is just really twisted. Next up is The Crazies. This is the remake. I actually prefer the remake over George A. Romero's original. Again, there's social commentary to a lot of his movies. This one to me, though, just stands out for just the gore effects and the thrills and tension. I love the heck out of it. Don't Breathe. I got this one with a trade from my friends on here. This one was also had just that underlying tension all throughout. Absolutely love the heck out of it. And was it Stephen Lang, I believe? Yeah, Stephen Lang was great in that role. And apparently they're going to do a sequel for it. I feel like the sequel is unnecessary, but I'm still going to give it a chance and look forward to it. And the turkey baster scene, unforgettable. Dark Water remake with Jennifer Connelly. Next up is Violence in a Women's Prison. I will say I think this one to me it's not quite as good as the original, but still really enjoyable. Good atmosphere in it. But Violence in a Women's Prison, and then Emmanuel and the Last Cannibals. I am a big fan of Laura Gemser. I will watch anything she's in. Both of these are kind of like softcore porn-esque with elements of the women's prison and then cannibal movies thrown in there, I feel like. Eat Alive, really good cannibal movie. And Severn's doing an amazing job on their releases. I like the black cases on them too. But the transfers, the special features, amazing. Really good company releasing horror movies. We've got The Human Centipede, which I was able to get signed up by Tom Six. And then Ashlyn Yenny right there. And to me, this movie, the concept of it is more disturbing than the actual movie. Now, Human Centipede 2 is actually disturbing. I haven't seen the third one, though. Witchboard, which I was able to get signed up by a bunch of people involved with the film. This is one that I watched when I was younger, and to me, it doesn't quite live up to the memory of it, but still decently enjoyable. Housebound, which I think is very underrated, has some humorous moments in there. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Bad Ronald, but really enjoy the heck out of this one. Good New Zealand horror comedy movie. Next up is Starry Eyes, which this one is amazing. Very trippy movie. Love the transformation, especially at the end of the movie. And I like the social commentary behind it too. But I would highly recommend the heck out of that one. Late Phases, also known as Late Phases, Night of the Lone Wolf, with Ethan Embry in here and Nick Demisi. A really good werewolf movie. And there's right there. Ethan Embry is doing a great job in a lot of his horror movies. Really enjoyed Devil's Candy, and he was really good in Masters of Horror, Incident on and Off a Mountain Road, I believe it was. Really good there. Next up is Dead Snow, Killer Nazi Zombies. How can you go wrong with that? Absolutely love this one. I love the humor of it. Again, I love horror movies with a snowy setting. Just phenomenal. I still need to check out the second one. I haven't, and I will be watching it soon. Dreamcatcher, which a lot of people crap on this one, but I always enjoy the heck out of it. The ending, I can understand people's criticism of it, but I still really liked it overall. Again, a snowy setting, horror movie, Stephen King adaptation, love the cast. Next up is Mr. Brooks, which I think is underrated too. Kevin Costner was really good in here. Not a big Dane Cook fan, but I liked him. I like him better as an actor than a comedian, and he was good in here too. Demi Moore, William Hurt, and I love the ending to it. There's, I don't want to give too much away, but there's kind of like two takeaways for the ending. But he's essentially a serial killer, Kevin Costner. Magic. I feel like this was more of a thriller, but I remember watching as a kid and freaking out about it. And I still think it has some creepy elements there. Anthony Hopkins, Burgess Meredith, and Margaret. A few other recognizable people in there. Zombie A-Hole. This is a low-budget zombie movie from Dustin Mills. This is the director's cut. I enjoy the heck out of this one. Really fun movie, and it does have some good mythology in there too. Mother's Day, which is the remake. I really enjoyed the original Mother's Day. This one is a kind of a different take on it. Instead of an older woman, you got Rebecca De Mornay right there, and got it signed up by Darren Lynn Bozeman, the director, and then Brianna Evigan right there. But really good tension in this one. I think I don't know. I feel like they're both. It's hard to compare. I like both the original and then this remake. My Bloody Valentine, which I was able to get signed up by Tom Atkins. Very unique signature, much like Sid Haig. A few other people have really unique ones that stand out. This is the remake. I actually really enjoy the remake. When I first watched it, I liked it, but I didn't love it. Now I absolutely love it. I think it's a really good modern remake. Next up is the original My Bloody Valentine, which is an all-time slasher classic. One of the best slashers of all time. Probably top 5 for me. You can't go wrong there. Harry Warden. The Miner, I wish they would have done a series, really. I think that character deserved it. You're Next, really good kind of home invasion movie. I like the take on it. I saw aspects of it coming beforehand, but I thought it was, you know, a little bit formulaic, but still really strong. A really strong female lead in there too, and good atmosphere, tension in there. Piranha 3 Double D, which I actually prefer over the Piranha remake. This one is just, you know, both those movies are self-aware. They're cheesy fun, but David Hasselhoff makes this movie for me. There's Gary Busey, Christopher Lloyd. It's just super cheese. I dig it. Next up is Plan 9 from Outer Space, the Ed Wood movie. This is black and white and in color version. It's fully restored. Again, another ridiculous, cheesy movie. Last Days on Mars with Liev Schreiber, which I think this is super underrated. I never hear anybody talk about this movie. It's an infection movie set on Mars, a good sci-fi horror. I really love this one. Creepy, thrilling, very tense, palpable tension in there. Deserves more appreciation. Next up is the Kino release. Really nice release from them, by the way. A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night. Noir, Western-esque, black and white. Set in Iran, but it is a U.S. film. Definitely has some overt social commentary, especially with that region and Muslim women, things of that nature, but she's a vampire. It's a unique movie, very interesting. I like the cinematography a lot, and it does have a lot of dramatic pacing, though, so it might not be for everybody in that regard. But I definitely like the cinematography aspect to it a lot. As Above, So Below. This is one that I think definitely surpassed the hype for it. I remember a lot of people were talking about this one. But I think it's one of those things where there's so many movies now. The market is just so oversaturated that when a movie is released, there's all this hype and buzz if it's a good movie, and then just you don't really hear too much about it. I feel like that's the case with this one. I haven't really heard too many people talk about it in the past couple of years, but I think it deserves a lot of appreciation. Really creepy, really tense, claustrophobic movie. Going into like the tombs underneath Paris, where they have the bodies and stuff like that, the catacombs. Very tense. Especially if you're claustrophobic, just makes you sweat. Next up is Europa Report. I feel like I need to rewatch this one. This one is more sci-fi thriller than horror. A lot of dramatic pacing in this one, and then the ending is you have that horror element there. But I remember wanting more from it. Next up is Open Grave, with another one that I thought was really underrated, great storytelling. It's one of those movies that kind of unravels as the film goes along. This guy wakes up in like a pile of bodies in a ditch, Charlton Copley, and it's just, there's like an infection going on. He's trying to figure out what's going on. He finds like these other people, and they're all kind of paranoid. None of them know what's going on. They all kind of woke up, and they're trying to piece things together, and then it comes together finally at the end. And I remember really enjoying the heck out of it and thinking, I haven't heard anybody talk about it, much like Last Days on Mars, and I feel like it deserves more love and attention. But there you go. There is a Random Horror Blu-ray Shelf number 2. So there you go again. There is Random Horror Blu-ray Shelf number 2. Hopefully you enjoyed this series on that shelf. Let me know if you've seen any of the movies and what you think of them, and which was your favorite from this shelf. And give me some horror Blu-ray recommendations to check out, too. So look forward to more of these Random Horror Blu-ray Shelf videos. Then once I do finish this series, I will alphabetize and organize and do a full horror Blu-ray collection video. So look forward to that. Hope everybody's doing well. Take care.